Hey everybody, it is Friday. That means we're back in the Facebook group and on YouTube with another episode of There's No Crying in Crochet. This happens to be episode 30, and we're so excited to share some knowledge with you today. We're going to take a little break from our self-care series to share a little bit of skills stuff. But before we do, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Debbie from Madam Stitch, and my cohort in crime is...
Biz from Busy Crochet. Hi.
And we are so excited to spend this afternoon with you. So this
Mhm.
is There's No Crying in Crochet, as I said. All right, so down to business. We hope that you will subscribe to both of our YouTube channels, Busy Crochet and Madam Stitch Crochet, because the podcast is not the only thing we do. We do tutorials, we do all kinds of other cool things. And if you subscribe, you get notifications every time we drop something new on our
Mhm.
channel. So we hope that you will subscribe. And if you are watching today on Facebook, please give StreamYard permission to display your name so we can see your name in the chat, because we love to talk to real people, not
Yes.
anonymous people.
Yeah.
So make sure
I
you
mean,
drop that name.
we we don't dislike talking to the anonymous people. We just like knowing who you are.
I know we're very personable. We're not nosy. So, we just like to know who we're talking to. So, anyway, all
Yes.
right, business is done.
Mhm.
So, Biz, what's up this week?
It's just been a really chill week. We've had some bad weather, so there was a school closing on Tuesday, but other than that, it's just been a normal week, just really chill after the holidays, getting back into the rhythm of life and got to go on a coffee date and that was nice. And other than that, it's just been really chill.
Fantastic.
How have you been doing?
Yeah. Oh, it's been a busy week. We had the same storm.
Oh,
We
okay.
have a really, we're north of you, so I'm on the
Mhm.
border of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, north of Philadelphia. And that same storm system just kind of whipped through your place and then came up to my place.
Mhm.
The snow
It's a
rain
big one.
line was to the west of us, so we got all rain. And so a lot of things are flooding around here.
Oh, geez.
Um, and so we're getting more tonight, and then we're supposed to, because that same track is gonna come through. I think what you're having right now is on
Yeah,
the way
we
to
have
us
really
tonight.
bad weather again.
And then Monday and Tuesday, excuse me, the temperatures are supposed to be cold enough. We will probably get snow this time. So,
Our
oh
temperatures
my
are gonna be
gosh.
dropping too. We're supposed to get, like, in the 30s and 20s again, so
Oh
we're kind of
gosh.
waiting for actual winter to get here. I don't think we're gonna get it.
Well, you are rather far south, and Florida is not known for its snow. So,
Oh, no, snow is definitely not. The worst thing that I've seen here, did I think it did snow maybe once, but ice. We've gotten ice a couple of times
mm,
in the
yeah.
13 years we've been here, and that is will shut the city down right now.
Yeah, I grew up in Missouri. Ice storms were a thing.
Yeah.
They were a big thing. Yeah, so I remember those. All right, let's see who we have here. Oh, Carolina is here.
Karina,
Nice.
hello.
Very nice. So good to see you. All right. Well, if that's all that's going on, well, I talked about the weather. I didn't really talk about what I was doing, but it's mostly work. So
Yeah.
there you go. And my
My
job is
grandkids
crochet.
came over
So
and they've been more organizing.
yeah, my office is starting to take shape. My shelves are starting to get filled with lots of goodies and stuff, and
That's
lots
good.
of great projects. So,
Hi, Nee.
yep,
Welcome.
nice. All right, I think it's time for us to get into our special topic for today. We are going to be talking today. This is our crochet skills workshop today. And
Mhm.
we are, as you know, working our way through a crochet pattern, kind of talking about the different sections that you'll see and what you can expect from them and what kind of information they hold for you. And today we are talking about these are two separate sections:
Mhm.
special stitches and pattern notes.
Mhm.
Every pattern really should include both of these. Now, the special
Mhm.
stitches section may not be included if there aren't any stitches
Yeah.
beyond the basic stitches, right?
Yeah.
So special stitches we're going to talk about in a second, and then the pattern notes section. So I came up with this handy dandy presentation that is just spectacular. It's got all the information you'll ever want to know. Wait,
Yay.
yeah, we have to start at the beginning though. Nothing
All
like
the
leaving it in the wrong
so
place.
so you get to watch it in reverse, and now we're gonna go through it.
Right, so just put that on slow-mo and go back, and then you can follow us forward
There you
as
go.
we start right here. All right. So, as I said, today we're talking about the sections of our crochet pattern which deal with special stitches and notes for the pattern.
Yeah.
Now, I wanna remind everybody, and Biz, you can talk to this too, you really when you pick up a pattern for the first time and you're getting ready to make that project and you have all of your materials collected, the very first thing you should do is read through the entire pattern.
Mhm.
Just looking at the picture and launching into the instructions will get you into trouble a lot of times,
Yeah.
and you may come across something that you don't understand
Mhm.
because you need to read through the whole thing to know what you're getting into.
Mhm.
And these two sections, I think, are two of the most important ones to set you up for success in your project.
Mhm. Okay, I'm not gonna admit I notoriously never used to read through the pattern. Um, but I do now because I'm a pattern writer and I understand the importance of it. But before that, I just would dive in head first and try to figure
Yep.
it out as I went along. And now I at least I don't necessarily always read through the whole pattern. Sometimes I will just read through the special sections that we're going to be talking about today so that I know what I should be looking for later.
Right. And, because we're both crochet designers, that's a um, common malady of ours to just skip over everything and go straight to the source. But
I
but
just want to make it.
we too need to read these two sections.
Yes, follow the rules.
Follow the rules. Okay, all right, so here we go. We're gonna talk about the special six stitches section first. That's quite the mouthful. And this graphic here just gives you a little bit of an idea of what you might expect in the special stitches section.
Mhm.
So typically, this will provide instructions for any of the stitches that are less common beyond the basic stitches like single crochet, double crochet, that sort of thing, and
Mhm.
stitch and repeat and round and all of that kind of stuff. Or being crochet designers, we might modify a stitch or we might
Uh-huh.
create a completely new stitch for
Mhm.
you to tackle in this particular project. One
Mhm.
comes to mind for me. I have a cowl that's called As the Crow Flies, and it incorporates this stitch that's a Y stitch.
Okay.
And it's basically I think it's a treble crochet with an extension that connects halfway through the standing stitch to create a Y.
Mhm.
I think it's a thing, but I that went in my special stitches section, right?
Well, it's out of the normal everyday
Mhm.
stitch. And I did want to add on here too, though, excuse me, is that each pattern is going to, and each designer, each editor, etc., is going to decide what is a special stitch maybe differently than somebody else. Because for
Right.
myself, like I consider a front post double crochet, a back post double crochet, a standard stitch.
I
And
do
yet
too.
sometimes, like, when I one of the patterns we're gonna talk about later, it took the front post and the back post double crochets and put them in the special stitches. So, and it was not edited by myself, it was edited by a magazine that I had it published in. And so it's going to depend on who, like who edited it as to whether or not. So don't be shocked or going, "Oh my god, they didn't put it in the right spot." It's gonna depend on whose pattern you're looking at.
Right. Right. And I know I know you all know this, but I'm gonna reiterate it. It's that each designer has his or her own style of writing a
Mhm,
pattern.
mhm.
I think between these 2 sections, this is where you're gonna find all of the information that you need
Yeah,
that's beyond the regular abbreviations list, and whether it goes in the special stitches, I call this section in my pattern special stitches and techniques, but it's,
yeah.
because I include the foundation stitches and the invisible join in there. But,
Mhm.
between these 2 sections, you're going to get pretty much all of the information that you need to be successful to complete the pattern, the
Yeah, you
project.
should find all of the information there.
Yeah,
Hopefully, they don't skip over it because, I mean, there are times I'm gonna admit I've done something I've done 100 times. I don't think about it. I don't think about the fact that somebody else doesn't do it the same as me, and I'll skip over putting the information in there and get 100
right.
questions later.
Yeah. Now, I do know that some designers will make tutorials
Mhm,
for the stitches, and they may just link to the tutorial rather than write the instructions out,
mhm,
which you'll see in the upcoming slides. I think Biz and I both do this the same way as we actually explain step by step,
yeah.
even if we have a video tutorial for the stitch. So I'm going to
Mhm.
move on to the next slide. And this is a gorgeous blanket by my friend Biz. It's called the
Hey.
Gingerbread Christmas Sampler.
Mhm,
Um, and we've linked it to, you can, we'll have this in the description, but there's the link to the pattern in her Ravelry shop.
mhm,
Um, but the special stitches that we're going to see in the next slide come from this particular pattern. So here
mhm.
we go. Now, Biz, I have to tell you, you have a lot of special stitches in this particular blanket. So this is just a few of them, but it gives us an
Yeah.
example. If you want to talk us through what you have here.
Sure. I've got a 4 double crochet cluster. That's the first one. And I've got a 4 treble crochet cluster. So this is where you're taking, you know, two different stitches, making kind of the same design element out of it. And so that's why when you said where you kind of make up a stitch, well,
Uh,
that's kind of what I did is you make up a stitch and then you got to call it something. So that's why those went in the special stitches, and then back post for treble crochet cluster. So that had to do with um gosh, which portion of the blanket was this? I think this was, oh, I know what this was. This was in the Bavarian stitch. If you've ever done the Bavarian stitch, you're going to have a lot of loops on your hook. And so the
okay,
back,
so I'm gonna go back. Can you
that
tell
very
us?
center section.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's the one where, as you're it's called a yarn eater, or it's also a Catherine's wheel. It's very similar. It's all
Oh
kind of the
yeah.
same thing.
Hmm.
So when you're doing it, you've got to grab a stitch from the next 9 hooks, and you're doing this whole thing. So that's why it's got, the back post treble crochet decrease thing, because it all pulls it all together. And then
Yeah.
the back post 8 treble crochet clusters. So there's 2 different sections that you're going to be using this on. So you have to explain each one, and of course they each have their own what is the word I'm looking for? Abbreviation in the pattern
Hmm.
itself. But like you said, I write everything out. But in my blankets, I also provide video tutorials. I didn't even think about the fact that I probably could have linked to that, but I link to the tutorial within the pattern itself, not
Hmm.
necessarily in this section. Woolly Chicken Crafts, which is also Neve says publications have their own preferences, guidelines too particular to them. So I'm sure she was referring to the fact that the magazine was different than our own edited ones. But yeah, sorry, I
Right.
didn't even ramble.
No, that brings up another point. Why is there not a standard way of writing things across patterns? Well, there kind of is,
Mhm.
but then each designer creates his or her own style of
Yeah.
writing. And once you've done more than one pattern from that designer, you start to see that carryover from project to project.
Yes.
Um, and why do we write out these special stitches? Well, first of all, you already said it, partly because if we've created something that is different from the norm, we need to explain it.
Mhm.
But the bigger picture is you can't put all of this wordage and verbiage in the instructions.
No.
Otherwise, you'd have 50, 100 pages worth of and nobody wants that.
Paragraphs.
Right? So, instead, we create the abbreviations that we see in the
Yeah.
parentheses so that our instructions flow more smoothly and don't
Right.
take up so much real estate.
And you can just put in there "see special stitches," and then, of course, it just
Mhm.
takes you to that.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Now we're gonna move on. We're still in special stitches. This is my Cordelia bandana cowl,
Mhm.
and you can see the link there to Ravelry. That's in my Ravelry shop. Um, so this is the stitches section from this particular pattern. Now I use granny squares are my thing. This is not by episode 30. If you've been listening, you should know this. There will be a test um, somewhere down the road. And what makes it a granny square is the granny stitch, the group of 3 double crochet
Mhm.
and 1 spacer stitch. I have started referring to it that way, partly because it's just easier,
Yeah.
and partly because I'm trying to train my audience to think of that group in the context of a granny stitch style garment or design or
Yeah.
square. It's a granny stitch rather than just 3 double crochet.
Right.
It's my thing, um, but that's something that you'll see across my patterns. I've been working in the third loop a lot lately. So I explain how to do the half double crochet in the third loop, slip stitch, and that this pattern actually uses a slip stitch in the third loop.
Okay.
Um, and then I start every row with a stacked single crochet when I'm working with double crochet or round, whatever I happen to be working, because for me, it gives my edge a clean, straight edge,
Mm.
and looks a lot better in my designs rather than a turning chain. However, I do explain in the pattern notes, and I do explain here as well. Oh, I don't have it here, but in the pattern notes, whenever I use stacked single crochet, I will explain that you can always substitute a chain 2 or chain 3 for that, and it doesn't affect the construction. So that's kind of how those 2 sections work together in my patterns. So that's an example from mine.
Mhm.
Um, oh, is I'm sorry, are we having a problem maybe?
Oh, no, Neve had said that she, is on YouTube instead of Facebook because she didn't have any sound. And so I just happened to say that you and I
Oh,
were experiencing some sound issues when we first started, so it might be us, I'm not really sure.
I actually think the sound issue was that I didn't click the right button.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think we're good now. But anyway, all right, so that covers the special stitches
Mhm,
sections. That gives you an example of both of ours. Biz, do you
mhm.
have anything else you want to say about the special stick? I cannot say that today.
It's okay.
Special stitches
It's a tongue twister.
section. It's like Peter Piper picked a peck of, yeah. Um,
Yes.
yes. Do you have anything else to add to our
Anything
discussion?
else to add to the special stitches? No, I just that if you see that a pattern has special stitches in it, take a minute just to take a gander at what's in there because you're going to run into it later in the pattern and it should say, see special stitches. And usually it's in parentheses in the pattern itself in the line that you're in. And I just find that I am less confused and not going, oh, geez, no, where is that? When it comes to it, just familiarize yourself. It just makes the pattern easier for you.
Exactly. And we are all about making it as easy as possible because we want you to make those projects.
Absolutely.
All right, let us move on to the pattern notes section. Ah, this one is filled with goodies.
Yes.
I made a list here of all the possible things, but this may or may not cover everything. It's special instructions for certain things that happen in the pattern. That first point, I always put US crochet terminology with the abbreviations section.
I do
So
too.
it won't be in my pattern notes, but some people do it here. Um, I like this one. Whether or not the chains at the beginning of a row or a round count as a stitch. That's important
Yes.
because
And that
that
one I use
determines.
commonly in mine.
Me too. Um, because a lot of times a chain one at the beginning of a round or row does not count, but anything taller than that might, and that
Right.
determines where your first stitch is worked.
Yep. Yep. And a lot of times it'll say, you know, a chain 3 counts as a double crochet throughout the pattern. And then sometimes it'll say a chain 3 only counts as a double crochet when noted. So
Yeah,
just got to watch for the variations on that. Just because it's in there doesn't mean that it means the same thing on everybody's pattern.
right. And I typically, if it applies to the entire pattern, I will put it in the pattern notes. If it
Mhm.
applies occasionally, I have been known, there have been places where maybe you don't turn every round or the chains at the beginning of the row, like you talk about, are count or don't count, but they
Mhm.
randomly count or don't count.
Mhm.
I will put in the pattern notes, watch to see what I'm telling you to do.
Mhm.
Make note because they're
Mhm.
not always the same.
Yeah. That's a great place to communicate with the
Mhm.
maker.
Yeah. Uh, whether it's worked in one piece or seamed, I don't generally do that in my pattern notes unless it's I might take that and put it in a "this is how this is constructed" section.
Yeah.
Um,
I typically don't
and
add stuff like that in my notes either.
right, and then any other notes that you think might be helpful
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
make it
because really
easier.
the designer is letting you know what their intentions are up ahead of ahead so that you don't have to go, "Gosh, I wonder what they're thinking." So, I
Yeah,
mean, that's really what the pattern notes are, is you're getting the designer's mind. And but there are times even in my patterns where after a certain section, I'll say, "Do this right now."
right,
So not everything's always going to be in the
right,
pattern notes or only in the pattern notes. There's a lot
right.
of times I will put notage throughout the
Yep,
pattern itself, but I will always mark it with note, blah,
yes.
blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. And as we write patterns, we don't always know what's going to be helpful information for you. So
Yeah.
we regularly have patterns tested, and our testers will tell us, "Oh, it would be great if you had a picture here," or "It would be great if
Yeah.
you explained what this was." So we put a lot of emphasis on the notes that we get from our testers as well.
There's been a lot of times when my testers have come back and said, this would have been really helpful. Like a picture tutorial would have been really helpful through this spot. And
Yeah,
a lot
and
of
that
them, they've been with me for so long, they know what I'm thinking already, but, so they'll just do it, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but, they're good enough to come back and say to me, "Hey, no, I know what you were doing because I know you and your writing style,
Mhm.
but," and I always like the "but" part.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to some examples. Here we go. This gorgeous
Mm,
baby is from Busy Crochet. It is Walk in the Woods sampler. And
mhm.
again, you can find it at that link in her Ravelry shop. And we'll post these in our descriptions after the fact. But
Yeah.
this is the example that we're looking at. So in the next slide, you will see now it's a little small, so hopefully you're full size, full screening it.
Mhm.
But, she talks about I like this one, the very first one. This goes to substituting yarns because maybe, they're using yarn scraps or, not every worsted weight yarn is created equal, right?
Mhm.
So you kind of
So
have to make sure.
this one was the one that was, edited by the, publication. So they
Mhm.
had different things that they had to have in their notes
Ah,
section, and the
gotcha.
weighted the yarns, that was something they're like, "You have to say this in your notes." So, I don't always have that in there, and I probably should because it's actually a really great note.
Yeah, if I will in the yarn section, I will say something in the yarn section, not the pattern notes. I will
Mhm,
say any worsted weight will do, but make
mhm.
sure that you make gauge
Yeah.
with the yarn you've chosen.
Yeah, and I always when I'm doing my, material section, I always say what samples are made out of, so that if you're looking to
Mhm.
either create
Right.
the exact same thing, or if you want to substitute and you understand the yarn, you can just substitute easily.
Yeah, I always do that as well. And then the
What's
second
our
one
other
is
one?
one that we had actually talked about. It's
Yeah.
small, isn't it? Is talking about what that beginning chain, that
Yeah.
turning chain actually counts as.
So this one had all of them. It covered all of them. So and they put it all in one sentence. I have a tendency to separate them out into their own sentences in my notes, but I think this was done to save space.
Mm, yeah, I agree with you. I usually separate them out. Now I like what you've done. Chain two counts as a half double crochet.
Mhm.
I I just say as a stitch because I don't know if this is me thinking that everybody knows this, but if you start a row with a chain two and the next stitch is half double crochet, I will say in the pattern notes, chain two counts as a stitch, but then
Yeah.
in the row, chain two, half double crochet in the next stitch
Uh-huh.
so that it's kind of intuited that it's a half double crochet. So I think I might have to adopt this way of doing things.
Yeah, I always do the actual stitch that I'm shooting for because I don't always use the same chain count when I'm doing it. It depends on what I'm working on. You
Mhm.
know me and my patterns are a little bit all over the place. So, um, it depends on what I'm making in the spot. So I might be using a chain two as a double crochet. It just depends.
Yeah.
Um, so I always say, oh, like the chain five counts as a half double crochet plus three chains, or a chain six is it might be a treble crochet with a chain two, or it could be a double crochet plus a chain three, or you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
enough variations. So I'm always very
And that
specific about what I'm using that chain for.
and my style is so much simpler, so much more basic that that I basically if it's a chain 2, it's, something other than, it's probably gonna count. But I
Yeah.
do put that in my pattern notes.
Yeah.
And then your 3rd note, again, you said this was edited by the magazine.
Mhm.
They've
Yeah.
done, a kind of a construction
Yeah, and see, I wouldn't
overview.
have put something like this in necessarily in my pattern notes. I would have
Mhm.
broken the pattern down into the different chunks, which I did,
Right.
but I wouldn't necessarily say in the notes, "Hey, you're gonna be looking at 3 different sections." Maybe I
Yeah.
should, I don't know.
I don't know, like I said, if there's something really interesting about the construction of my project, I'll put it in its own special right before
Mhm,
the pattern instructions, I'll say, "This is how this is put together." But,
mhm.
I think that's preference, I'm not sure how necessary that really is. So
I mean, I guess maybe in this particular blanket is really involved. So I was just reading through the note itself, and I can see where it would help somebody be able to see in their mind what they're going to have to do. Because the first section, the middle is just back and forth rows, and then we work in the round until the next section where they're individual squares that are done in a strip and attached to the thing, and then we go back to working in the round. There's a
oh
lot
my
going
gosh.
on.
Oh my goodness, Biz.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
welcome
good.
to business mind.
I think it's time to take a walk over to, Madam Stitch's mind here. This this
For
is
sure.
actually one of my more complicated patterns because it's a cowl made with, uh, hexagon motifs
Okay.
rather than granny squares.
I love
But there you can
hexagons.
see the link to it. I named it Rock Creek Park because I bought the yarn from Neighborhood Fiber Company
Oh,
that
okay.
is based in Baltimore, and they did a special colorway for Rock Creek Park, which
Oh,
happens to be in
fun.
Washington, DC. So that's how that got that name that its name. But here we go. So yes, this is small and there's a whole lot of stuff going on. Oh, what did I do here? It looks like I included things that really shouldn't be in here. But anyway, um,
I don't know. I
this
find
is
it
talking,
informative.
you know, each round is worked with the right side facing. Do not turn at the end of those. So I will make sure that because that instruction doesn't happen in the pattern instructions themselves, I will put in the pattern notes, do not turn at the end of any round. Um, chain 3 at the beginning of each hexagon round counts. Oh, I did put double, look at me. It counts as a double crochet.
Oh,
Um,
look at her.
this particular cowl, I don't know if you can see it. It's hard to see in this picture, but the top edge is even.
Yeah,
Now, you've got hexagons that create this zigzag pattern at
sure.
the top.
Mhm.
So that in order for the top of the cowl to be straight, I had to use varying heights of stitches
Yeah,
to make that straight across.
yeah,
And the bottom is just left. I think I just worked a round of single crochet, but the peaks are present at the bottom with the fringe in it.
sure.
So this talks about to get the even edge, you have stitches of different heights.
So do
And
you
I
do you
created
include a chart with every single one of your patterns? Because I know you're charting, the one we're working on together.
no, I don't. And it wasn't until last year when I took a class with Edie Ekman
Mhm.
in how to use Adobe Illustrator. Might have been the year before, I don't remember, but I actually took a class with her to learn how to use it, and that's when I started
Okay.
charting a lot of my stuff.
Uh-huh.
Um, I don't chart really simple things because frankly nobody needs the extra real estate used up, but this pattern would actually benefit from having the hexagons charted out and have the border. I think what I did was was using something else that was free and it kind of did basic charts. So I think I charted out the border at the top so you could see stitch placement, but
Okay.
that's about all I did there. But yes, I try to include charts whenever I
I
feel
just
like it's
I just
really
happened to notice
necessary.
in yeah, I just happened to notice in your notes that you said, no crochet symbol exists for this stitch, therefore the chart indicates something
Ah, yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
you
I
you
think that was
explained it well.
I know that that particular, pattern was done before I was using Illustrator,
Oh, okay.
um, but now that I'm using Illustrator, I could create a symbol for that particular stitch,
Ooh,
and
fancy.
that whole explanation would be unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. It actually the modified treble crochet, oddly enough, is almost like it's like the half double crochet is to the double crochet.
Okay.
It shortens the treble crochet so that it blends between the double crochet and the treble crochet,
Oh, you're gonna have to
and
teach
you
me that one.
pull yeah, it's fun. But anyway, that's an example of my pattern notes. Usually they're shorter
Awesome.
than that, but
Yeah, no,
yeah.
but like we were talking about, this gives you the mind of the designer so that you know what their
Mhm.
intentions were.
Yeah, and again, because that design was um, more involved than a lot of my designs, I
Mhm.
had to give more explanation for people
Sure.
who do my patterns regularly.
Mhm.
There you go.
Makes sense.
That is the end of all of the
Dun,
words
da,
on the screen, and
da. Oh,
we're
hi.
coming back.
We're back.
This is us. Um, but that basically, excuse me, sums up the special stitches and pattern notes. There's a whole lot of other stuff
Oh gosh,
that
yeah.
can be included in these sections, but just know that they really are critical
Mhm.
to your success with the project, and they
Yes.
will hopefully give you all of the extra information you need to be
Yeah.
successful with your project.
Yes. I was just gonna say the same thing, is that where you said it's critical, it's kind of like the Bible part of your pattern, other than the
Mhm.
pattern itself, obviously, but like any kind of reference that they're going to make in that pattern is gonna be in these 2 sections.
Yeah, and hopefully we haven't forgotten them.
Right? Right. Oh my gosh, I've done that.
But I know, right? If you get that question 100 times, then there's a pattern note that goes in to the revised version, right?
Yeah. Revision number 75. Okay.
How do we even name those after a while? It's
I'll
crazy.
tell you what, my very first sampler blanket I ever made was fairies. And it is by far the most popular pattern I've ever put out. It's been downloaded like hundreds of thousands of times at this. But in the first, I want to say 3 or 4 years that it was out there, I put out probably 5 or 6 revisions because I didn't have it tested. And see, this was my first lesson in you got to do the work behind the scenes before you put it out into the world, or you're going to hate your life. So, I had never had it tested. So, of course, I'm like, well, hey, there might be problems with it. Let me know. Oh, they let you know. So, so I'm telling you, it is perfect now. It has been made ad nauseum. But I yes, boy oh boy. And I just after a while I just started putting like revision and the revision date. And because there were so many of them. But yeah. So now I don't forget things like that. At least I try not to.
No, we have a
I'm
system
hyper
in
vigilant.
place. I
Well.
My favorite patterns of mine are row 1, do this, row 2, do this, rows 3 through 1,000, do the second thing.
Yeah. I like having those as well. Those are fun, and a lot of times those are I do scarves and stuff like that because I wanna do the stitch, you know, but I
Mhm.
don't think I could survive a whole blanket of it
Yeah,
because, me, I've gotta do a lot. And so for me to settle down and do like just a 4-row repeat, I have to make scarves. 'Cause by the end of the scarf, I am done. I'm done working this pattern.
yeah. Well, I have a funny story about a Christmas gift that I made for my grandsons. The entire school district they're a part of, are the Blue Eagles.
Mhm.
That's their mascot. So they have this really beautiful royal blue and white team colors.
Oh,
So I
fun.
thought, all right, I'm gonna try a new stitch and I'm gonna make team spirit scarves for them. And then I'm gonna put
Uh-huh.
it out into the world. And I didn't want to just do double crochet because that's too
I
basic.
just know this is gonna be a great story.
Oh, it's a fabulous story. So here I am. It's December. Christmas is closing in on us as we
Yeah.
speak. And I thought, I bet a linked double crochet would be a great stitch to do for this scarf. Well, it wasn't. It ate yarn like there was no tomorrow. It just, and I didn't have time to order more.
So
So
what is
that
a
was
linked
out.
double crochet?
It's where, instead of doing a yarn over before you insert in the stitch,
Uh-huh.
you insert it in the post of the previous double crochet, pull up a loop, then you insert it in the stitch and you pull up a loop so you have 3 and you
Oh.
pull through all 3 and then it closes the gap because double crochet when you work them repeatedly row after row has kind of gappage, right?
Uh,
But a linked double crochet, it'd make a beautiful blanket, but I think I would wanna hurt myself by the end of the blanket. Um, because it's one of those things where you and I have done double crochet more, infinitely. So our
Yes,
hands have a rhythm for that
yes.
stitch.
And
And a
if you've
linked
gotta
double
watch
crochet
every single
requires
stitch.
a you have to suppress the urge to yarn over, and then you have to remember to go into that post, and it's a different motion. Instead of this, it's this, and my hand was getting
Oh,
tired from repeated,
oh my
and
god.
plus, that scarf was so heavy. It was so heavy. I'm like, "Okay, it doesn't get that cold here." So, you know what? Ripping it out, and
Oh my gosh.
I think I did it in half double crochet to give it a little more heft, but
Yeah.
now Christmas is closing in, I'm going, "I have to do the thing, I have to do the thing. Here's half double crochet, let's do it."
Yes.
Ugh.
So I did a it makes me think of the waistcoat stitch.
Mm,
Waistcoat,
waistcoat.
waistcoat, thank you. I'm like,
West Coast,
what the
waistcoat.
I don't know, it's irritating, that's what it is. Um, I did, God, what blanket was it? I think it's Christmas Around the World, and there's a section in there where we create a Norwegian sweater, and throughout the whole thing, it's kind of, oh, geez, what's the one that, Erin does, the style she
Oh,
does?
the mosaic?
Yes, okay, so it's similar to
Yeah, yeah,
mosaic, and then we did waistcoat stitch with a bunch of it, and it looks knit, and it's really, really cool, but boy, was it slow. Oh my gosh. A whole
yeah.
Afghan of that? No, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, that was my story. I
Fun.
did not
Sounds like
get
a
linked
nightmare.
double crochet, but I do like that stitch. Hopefully, it'll come back somewhere.
There you go. I
Oh my
mean, just
goodness.
now that you're starting to really branch out with your stitches and get, crazy, you could add that. You could add that into one of your new cowl designs.
And when Biz says crazy, she means a 2 double crochet cluster.
Throw a
Oh
popcorn in there.
my
Go on,
gosh!
little, little.
Instead of the we're gonna give crazy new meaning here, apparently. Oh, Lordy have mercy. All right.
All right.
On that note,
I don't know what the comment means.
I would block that one.
I can't,
I
you
was
have to.
oh, hold on. I have to figure this out.
Oh, wait,
Uh,
no, I can.
on
Never mind.
oh,
Bye-bye.
wait. Oh, oh,
I
good.
did it. I didn't know I could do it, otherwise would have done it.
Oh, it said it was on a guest's destination. That would be you.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Oh,
All right.
okay. Well, alrighty then.
On that note, we're gonna talk about what you watching.
What have I been watching? Okay, so I have been stuck on the, oh golly, People Magazine um murder show. I can't remember what the thing's called. It's on Discovery Plus, and basically, it's just like a documentary about how these people got murdered. And I know that that sounds really, really weird now that I'm talking about it out loud, but it's really fascinating. And I just throw it on in the background as I'm watching, like working on stuff because I've been trying to keep up with the work and, you know, that's all I've been doing. That's all I've really been watching because Tony and I, after supper, the only thing that we just our stupid trash reality TV or football. That's it.
Well, thank the good Lord, football is winding down. They've
Oh
taken it
yeah.
off Mondays and Thursdays, so
Yes.
now it's only on the weekends. Oh, well, no, that's not right. The Eagles really shouldn't have made the playoffs, but they did. Um, and they're playing in Florida on Monday. We'll see how that goes. So there is a Monday
Oh,
night game. Ugh,
I
but I
know
will
the
not be
Packers
staying up
always
for it.
win.
I
And
will
the
not be
Packers are
staying up for it.
playing, who are they? Dallas this weekend again? Vikings?
I don't know.
I don't know. Oh,
I
it is.
just don't.
It is. It's Dallas. Sorry.
Ooh. Yeah, well, Dallas has home field position, don't they? They do.
I don't
They
know.
won that they won that over the Eagles, I think.
Mhm.
Anyhow, I could not watch the Eagles game on Sunday, because it was a clown show. It was horrid. Just the most horrid, embarrassing game I think I've ever seen them play.
Oh,
So
no.
I actually stopped about halfway through. So I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, because the writer's strike is over, the actor's strike is over. All
Yeah,
of the network TV shows are going to be coming back,
yeah.
in a I think in a month. So I've been going back and watching the ends of the seasons of all of my favorite
Okay, okay.
shows, like NCI all the NCISs.
Mhm.
What else have I watched? Oh, one of my favorites is not a murder show, but it's kind of a figure this one out. So Help Me Todd, one of the funniest shows that's
I
a
remember you
drama I
saying
have
that.
ever watched. It's so good. Marcia Gay Harding is the mother
She is
of,
funny.
oh, I can't remember the name of the her son, but he was in Pitch Perfect and he is hilarious. Hilarious. And it's like
Oh, I know who you're
slapstick
talking about.
lawyer drama.
He was the jerk in Pitch Perfect, right?
Pitch Perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
He's
I
a
don't
funny
remember his
actor.
name right. It's so good. So we're going back and watching the end of the season so that we know what's coming up. But that's so much fun to go back and just go, "Oh yeah, that's what happened. I wonder why that happened." We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah. I wish that, actually, Tony and I starting Sunday not Sunday, Monday, our church is doing a fast for, I think it's 14 days or something like that, and we decided that we're gonna kinda use it as a way to maybe break some bad habits that we have created, and so one of the things that we're gonna be fasting is the TV. Ah!
Oh, Biz.
So
I'm sorry. I'm
ah,
so
yes. Yes.
sorry.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself, but, I will figure it out. So I'm not really gonna have a lot to talk about, like, what I've been watching for a couple of weeks. But so, yeah.
We'll talk about something else then.
Yeah, we'll
I'll
figure that
create a new banner. What have you not been watching? Oh,
How are you doing? How are you doing?
are you okay?
Are you okay? Blink twice
All
if
right.
you need to be safe.
Okay. And when does that start? Does that start at Lent?
Monday. So,
Oh.
one thing we do love to do though, and we used to really love to do before we became addicted to trash reality TV and scrolling on our phones, we used to love to play board games and card games.
Mm.
So he
Mhm.
mentioned that to me today. I'm like, okay, I guess we're gonna, I'm all for it. I don't mind doing that kind of stuff. And maybe we'll put together some puzzles or something like that. But yeah, I guess we're going to do other quality time instead of, snoring in the same room. So
Well, I highly
um
recommend that plan. We actually did that over the holidays. What is happening?
I don't know, but I'm getting rid of them because I'm not.
I Oh gosh.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I think yep. There you go. Wow.
So, hi, Kansas Chicky. I saw your comment. You made us a Christmas stocking in waistcoat stitch. It was beautiful. I'm sure it
Oh.
was. It is actually very, very pretty when it's done. I love the way that it looks. I am just not a
Mhm.
huge fan of doing it.
Yeah, me and my linked double crochet just like that. But I swear I will do it. All right. I think that's it. We have done all the
We
things.
have done all the things. And if anybody has any questions, of course, to reach out to us. We're always available.
Absolutely. Yep. On Facebook, Instagram, we're everywhere you are, I think. I'm I'm even on TikTok and Threads and It's exhausting to be in all the places, but we are.
So apparently this is gonna be my life now, is just banning these people that keep making
Oh, you're
stupid
still there.
mention
Well,
about
I think
shoes
maybe
edgers.
I don't know, but it's time for us to
Okay.
go anyway. So
Alright. It
ban
is.
that person and let's
Yeah.
say goodbye.
Okay. Sounds good.
So we're really excited for the rest of the month of January, which we'll be
Yeah.
talking about more self-care
Yes.
subjects that will help you through with your crochet.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, crochet and don't cry because there's no
That's
crying
right.
in crochet. Thanks everybody for coming. We really appreciate you being here with
Yes.
us. And until next time, have a great week.
Have a great week. Goodbye.